To talk about defense policy in Canada is to speak with a heavy heart, repeatedly. Failed fighter procurements, supply ships that are decades late, 50 years to replace a helicopter. This is the legacy of defense policy in Canada. But no matter what, people are the core of any army, and Canada has made just as many mistakes with personnel as it has with equipment. A new book by C.P. Champion discusses the fight to save the Army Reserve from conniving officers and bureaucrats in the Department of National Defence who ignored directives from multiple elected ministers of national defence. Relentless Struggle, Saving the Army Reserve 1995 to 2019 tells the story of Reserves 2000, a group of concerned citizens of sufficient stature and influence who thwarted plans by senior officers and civilian officials to amalgamate, shrink, and defund the Canadian Forces Army Reserve. Relentless Struggle is a story of a sustained campaign by Reserves 2000 to maintain the nation's ability to mobilize and to oppose numerous attempts to cut or amalgamate reserve units. It's a story of bureaucrats and officers ignoring political direction. It's a story of internal departmental politics superseding national security. And it's a story of how, through lack of planning and the drastic underfunding of our military, Canada remained unprepared for a real conflict. The reserves play a vital role in the communities in which they are housed, and are often the only face of the armed forces that the public sees. Champion's history shows that had Reserves 2000 not fought the good fight, throughout the 1990s especially, the reserves might not even exist today. The Canadian forces were not ready for Afghanistan, but they would have found the deployment downright impossible had the reserves been as degraded and shrunken as had seemed likely. As Champion writes, the right way to assess Reserves 2000's accomplishments is to ask what would have happened without their interventions.